next up, we're going to hear from Shantell Martin, who is going to talk to us. She's just incredible. If you've watched any of her videos on YouTube, they are amazing. But she's going to talk to us about digital drawing and the art of creativity. Let's welcome her up.
Thank you. Okay, so as an artist, I might talk about some feelings. So there's a slide up here, and this is from one of my first talks I ever gave, probably about 10 years ago. And it doesn't matter what kind of journey you are on, the one thing that doesn't change is where you're from. And I'm from this lovely place in southeast London called Thamesmead. Has anyone heard of it? Yep, you might have seen Clockwork Orange or The Misfits or something like that. But that's where I'm from. And kind of growing up there, I wasn't very happy with the environment that I lived in. I wasn't very happy with the surroundings that I was in. I wasn't very happy kind of in general. And I was lucky enough to be born with this personality that kind of crafted me to be an artist. And when you have that type of personality, you're able to deal with your feelings through mark making, through drawing, through writing, through rapping, through singing. And I kind of got that out. And you can see in this picture, there's kind of a washing machine. I was obsessed with washing machines. And these kind of hung figures. And, I kind of could get that out and express that. And I also used to experiment with my brothers and sisters and kind of dress them up, and they would be my guinea pigs. But the point is I was able to kind of deal with this environmental kind of frustration through drawing, through creating, through kind of, paying my sisters to let me experiment on them. Here's a kind of a picture of me with my grandmother and dog at the time. We're also quite insecure sometimes as artists, and I completely was. I was just nerdy, braced, kind of teenager. This was a picture of my bedroom at college. Also very obsessed with death at that time. I think I was obsessed with death from the age of 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, maybe 24. I used to make these kind of cardboard hangmen and kind of hang it from my room. And, this is kind of an outward cry at the time. I think, an outward cry in the sense where you feel lost, you feel numb. Maybe you don't even feel anything, but you're able to kind of construct those feelings or construct that helplessness or construct that loss into form and kind of pull it out there to the world and hopefully, see if something comes back to you. And I found this picture, I've been moving a lot recently, and I've been finding these old kind of works that when I look at them, I think, wow, who made that? Because that's not me, that's not me now, but that was me a long time ago. And there was this picture here, and the last kind of line is, I want to use my head to have a nice life. And we work through these struggles, we work through these journeys, we find our way in life, and now I have a nice life, so what's my next challenge? What's my next journey? What's my next struggle? And I found also things that you forget on those journeys, things that you forget on those struggles. And I was obsessed with hands at some point, and I made all this work about hands and kind of being connected. And I don't even remember doing those things. So it's also kind of interesting about that time. As an artist, people ask me a lot, do you ever use color? Because I pretty much use a lot of black and white within my work now. And I say, yes, I had a whole career of color. And then I also had, a whole past of color. So I found these kind of images as well that have color in there. And there's this picture that says why, why my head hurts. And we have to think about this, why are we in the situations that we're in? Why are we having this journey that we're in? Why are we having the experience that we're having? Why are we meeting the people that we meet? Why are we creating the technology that we make? Why do we wake up every day? Why do we leave a house? Why do we do what we do? And as an artist, I do what I do because I'm trying to connect. I'm trying to be honest. I'm trying to be transparent. I'm trying to explore who I am, and I'm trying to find my way to a place where I understand who I am, and then I'm going to start again and kind of repeat that cycle and repeat that cycle. And here's kind of another picture. I was obsessed with monkeys. Here's a Monchichi that was bigger than me at the time. I found this picture as well, and so this is from a screenshot of some of the live visuals that I did in Japan. I lived in Japan for 5 years, and my job there was a visual jockey. I would do live, drawn, digital visuals to DJs and dancers and musicians, and kind of zoom in, zoom out, move that around, and then at the end, you end up with this bigger picture of these little moments that are collected together. And that's kind of the story of engineers, of artists. You know, we create these little vignettes, and then together they create a bigger picture of our story, of our life, of our work. I've been recently, I was a visiting artist at MIT, at the Media Lab there, and I was interested with this idea that, you know, technology is all about efficiency, you know, making things as fast as possible, kind of as innovative as possible. Well, if we just take that back a little bit and exchange a little bit of that efficiency for creativity or delicacy. So here's an air quality sensor that measures toxicity in the air, but also the traces kind of tell a story of what the function of the board is, and the components are in kind of a particular place that tells a story about location. So I think some things, even with technology, we hide it. You know, we have a really kind of interesting product and we put a box over it. So I'm also interested in this idea of peeling that back, you know, peeling those kind of slices back and making technology transparent, letting it kind of tell its story. I've also started just to experiment with about moving pieces around. So as an artist that draws, okay, let me backtrack a little bit. So who in here is a good mathematician? You know, put your hand up. You know, yeah, quite a few. So I think I have zero kind of math skills. It's not really my thing. I draw. And, you know, I'll create a 200-foot drawing on a wall and kind of not plan it, and it's very spontaneous, it's very intuitive. And then I step back, and every time I think to myself, oh, it works. You know, why does it work? It shouldn't work. And then what I realize is that, oh, wow, within these lines, within drawing, within the art, there is a sense of mathematical space, awareness. You know, when you're creating this composition, you're aware of maths. And I think that's something that we can also think about when we teach children or we start to think about maths within school, because engineering is very closely connected to maths. And if you think you have no idea about math, then how can you be an engineer, or how can you be a mathematician, or how can you be a computer scientist? So I think there's ways that we can visually start to teach kind of visualness within that. And this is me giving a workshop at MIT Media Lab, kind of pulling people in their uncomfort zones. Who in here can draw? Here's another question. Put your hand up if you can draw. Okay, so that's about 8% of you. So let me ask you a question. How can you not do something as an adult that you could do as a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old? Of course you can draw. What happened is someone, you know, you're at school, and at a certain age, a teacher says, that's not a house, that's not a dog. A parent says, that's not a house, that's not a dog. That's what a house looks like, that's what a dog looks like. And you look at your brother or you look at your friend next to you, and their house looks like the teacher's house. Their dog looks like the teacher's dog. And you start to think, I can't, they can. And then now you're in a room of adults and you say, oh, I can't draw. Of course you can draw. But what you can do is you can draw like you. You can find your own style. And that's something that we forget to kind of really enhance and bring on to the future. I love this idea about you know, art kind of being interactive, art being in real time, art being an experience. You know, it's something that shouldn't be too precious. It should be something that kind of connects us all. And, you know, kind of here's a large drawing that I didn't plan. It just started with one continuous line, and then you fill in the gaps in between. So there's a lot of trust that comes into creating art as well. And it's kind of, let's see there. So you see some pictures there. So it's kind of interesting as an artist as well. You know, I get commissioned to come into these companies, and they say, Shantell, we love your work. You know, here's a big wall. Can you show us what you're going to draw before you draw it? And I say, no. Because all my drawings are very free and they're spontaneous, and I don't know what I'm going to draw. And they say, okay, that's great, but can you show us? So there's also this sense of trust that has to come from a client. You know, it has to come, they have to take that little leap of faith and understand that they're going to get the real experience. And I've also started to kind of mix this kind of high-tech with low-tech, and got to open up the keynote speakers at CES this year with Intel, and kind of created this idea of the experience that's inside. And just kind of a slide here with aeroplanes, art, lines, whatever you do can take you anywhere. And I think it's kind of amazing as an artist, a pen takes me across the world. A pen connects me to people. A pen kind of allows me to open myself up and be transparent and be honest and find out about who I am in life. Occasionally, I'm still obsessed with death, but that's it's impermanence. It's around us. It's something we should talk about. It's something that we should experience. But it's all also about trying to find your way in life. And have you thought about the first 3 letters of the question, who are you? What is that? W-A-Y. We're all trying to simply find our way in life. I'm trying to find my way in life through lines and words, and I'm curious about how many of you in this room are trying to find your way in life. So thank you very much.